time riding in the rearward sitting arrangement of the 2018 Mercedes-Benz S560 when my driver peels his hands off the handle sideways. Depending on the auto's path direction and versatile journey control frameworks, he enables our enormous car to drive itself through an unprotected crossing point at around 60 miles per hour abruptly. An auto rises and crosses our way, and we verge on pummeling into its tail until the Benz all of a sudden sticks its brakes, gives the auto a chance to pass, and continues its way. The nerve-wracking close miss was arranged by Mercedes-Benz on a landing strip outside of Stuttgart, yet the message is clear. Not just did the S560 effectively stay away from a possibly deadly crash, it had the brains to compute the auto's speed and bearing, expect the potential effect, and apply brakes before continuing its direction. Amid another bore, our S-Class avoided a T-bone mishap by reaching a shockingly sudden stop. Yet another on the other hand planned exercise perceives the cross-movement danger however skims past it without result. Taking all things together, these educational reenactments flag fundamentally more honed tech in Mercedes-Benz's lead car. Enormous vehicle extravagance, 2.0, new nuts, screws, and programming. In the no-so-distant past, extravagance leaders clung to the straightforward recipe of huge motors and rich, luxury-loaded insides. While the new 2018 S-Class still targets ideal luxury beginning at around $100,000, the mid-cycle invigorates concentrates on building a more brilliant vehicle around three new motors whose model names happen to review enormous, awful Benzes of yore. The new S450 is propelled by a 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6 delivering 363 pull and 369 pound-feet of torque that can pull it to 60 miles per hour in 5 seconds level. The S560 tosses back its classification to the enormous bore V8 however recoils its twin-turbocharged motor from 4.7 to 4.0 liters, which is useful for 463 pull, a pickup of 16 horsepower, and 516 pound-feet, yielding 60 miles per hour in 4.5 ticks. The two models made to 9-speed automobiles and are accessible with race-wheel drive or another 4MATIC Plus framework, which, out of the blue, can completely fluctuate its front, race to torque dispersion. The new AMG S63 drops its V8 from 5.5 liters to 4.0 liters however increases twin parchment turbos that assistance include 26 drive for a sum of 603, while holding its, still astounding, torque figure of 664 pound-feet. Together with the new 4MATIC framework and the 9-speed auto that swaps a torque converter for a wet startup grip, the S63 is useful for 0 to 60 miles per hour in a supercar-like 3.4 seconds. The enormous Daddy S65 remains mechanically unaltered, with its immense 6.0-liter twin-turbo V12 stirring 621 torque and 738 pound-feet. Because of its back drive arrangement and characteristic inclination to vaporize elastic, also that the main gearbox fit for dealing with all that wind is a 7-speed, the S65 oversees 60 miles per hour in a, still not really chilly, 4.2 seconds. Look past the new motors and you'll discover significantly snazzier stuff with the S-Class gadgets. Making yet another stride nearer to self-governing driving, the S-Class now utilizes course-based speed adaption to moderate for corners, intersections, roundabouts or toll stalls. A dynamic directing framework can switch to another lane following a driver-prompted turn flag, and the previously mentioned dynamic brake help with cross-movement work utilizes a long-go radar camera and stereoscopic camera to maintain a strategic distance from potential impacts. Confiding in the machine. Subside into the S560's left-hand position of authority, and you're immediately helped to remember why the S-Class is a standout amongst the most respected, and imitated, luxury cars on the planet. The seats are steady without hitting a specific weight point, and that is before you've even begun the back rub work. Overlook the senseless new health highlight, which joins atmosphere control, seat, lighting, and 5 preset music programs with the aim of unwinding travelers. The genuine unwinding lies in the S-Class shockingly zen-like protection from wind and street commotion. Press the throttle, and the S560 rushes ahead quickly and easily. Select game mode, and the transmission picks up more sharpness, holding gears longer and downshifting all the more anxiously. since the motor's torque top begins at an important 2,000 revolutions per minute and brings completely through 4,000 revolutions per minute. More forceful driving modes are extremely just important if it's all the same to you're in a rush, and the interruption of the S-Class flawless smoothness. Despite the fact that comfort is a touch harmless and eco is somewhat toothless, either mode fulfills under most driving conditions. The suspension is flexible and accommodating, with enough body control to energize quick driving on B streets. While the S560 is more one-sided toward throughout the day comfort as opposed to unmitigated cutting, our analyzer was furnished with the supposed curve tilting choice, first observed on the S-Class Coupe. The component empowers the auto's air suspension dampers to incline toward corners so as to diminish the apparent G-stack on travelers. With up to 2.65 degrees of body fit, the S560 appears to corner totally level, an impression that may appear to be weird to those acclimated with the consoling feel of slight body roll. The AMG S63 includes more driver contribution without withdrawing a long way from the well-known S-Class worldview of segregation and control. The 4.0-liter V8 influences the about 2.5-ton vehicle to feel decidedly agile, and the transmission deals with that power easily until exchanged into Sport or Sport Plus modes, which include more character and freshness to the generally snappy movements. Quickening heart in this huge vehicle is everything except compelling as a result of how doubtful it feels to hustle this mass so quickly. The inclination is additionally highlighted on the Autobahn, where the S63 pulls like a supercar and embarrasses sports cars by drifting at their guards in the fast track until the point that they at last move off the beaten path. I passed a few officially quick autos on an unhindered segment before I at last hit an open extend where I could top out the aforementioned mammoth at a demonstrated 264 km per hour, 164 miles per hour. Regardless of the speed, the S63 felt sure and created. My day-lengthy drive through the German wide open likewise offered plentiful chance to test the S560's semi-self-governing highlights. While they work as advertised, and the well-built frameworks are stunningly viable, the path-keeping help wasn't exactly sufficiently dynamic to support Finnish desert. Relinquish the directing wheel, and the auto remains inside the path for 15 seconds before a notice toll shows up. You can escape with an entire moment before the framework releases the directing slack. However, you'll likely feel more great taking the controls in even light twisties since the gadgets don't generally keep the auto flawlessly focused. The framework's familiarity with forthcoming turns is great, however not precisely earth-shattering. We've seen Audi take this on first, but rather Mercedes-Benz's execution is exceptional, offering consistent reckoning of up-and-coming turns. Strikingly, and as anyone might expect, the most interesting S-Class motor I encountered won't be quickly accessible in the US, the 3.0-liter inline six-barrel. The motor runs a 48-volt electrical framework that straightforwardly runs the starter, water pump, and ventilating compressor, in this manner expelling the requirement for control sapping pulleys and belts. The framework additionally utilizes an electric supercharger, what Mercedes calls an electric assistant compressor, which utilizes 48 volts juice to include support before the traditional turbocharger is spooled up. The framework is useful for 10 to 15% picks up in proficiency, while including tangible advantages like a smooth auto stop, begin framework and practically no slack. Remain by for this progressed powertrain to come to the US showcase. However, it will initially wind up plainly accessible in the S-Class. Its execution and efficiency increases will probably lead it to stream into different models. Future accommodating. The S-Class is the main edge of Mercedes-Benz's push toward independent driving, and hence the first to profit by the brand's advances. While surrendering control to the PC isn't yet required, truth be told, the greater part of the S-Class fancy odds and ends can be killed. The more eminent advantage comes as mishap evasion highlights, which have the potential for sparing lives. Of course, the new S-Class motors offer more execution and more prominent productivity, yet extravagance wars will never again be won on those grounds alone. Or maybe, the fight for matchless quality will guaranteed from a network of extravagance highlights, large comfort, execution, and yes, PC-supported driving. In light of those components alone, the 2018 Mercedes-Benz S-Class is more than prepared for what's to come.
JB Automotive. Subserve now.